A lie that costs you $20 a month. A lie that turns the soil beneath your feet into lifeless dust. Last week, I dug 12 inches down into my tomato bed. Not just scratching the surface, I went deep. I pulled back the warm, dark topsoil, and there it was, a twisted piece of rusted metal, an old nail, some broken glass. The remnants of a house that stood here 50 years ago. And I looked at that rust, and I smiled, because that rusty nail, that thing most people would throw in the trash, is the key ingredient they have been hiding from you. Right now, somewhere in America, a gardener is staring at the bottom of a tomato plant. The leaves are yellow. The veins are pale green. The fruit has a black, sunken scar on the bottom blossom and rot. They will go to the store, they will buy a bottle of blue liquid calcium, they will pour it on, and next week, the same scars will appear. Why? Because the soil is hungry, not hungry for chemicals. The soil is hungry for a ritual that was buried by corporations who profit from your confusion. Today, we are digging up that ritual. We are going to build a feeding trench so powerful, you will never look at a fertilizer bottle again. Before the Second World War, before the invention of synthetic nitrogen, before the marketing departments of big agriculture convinced you that plants only need a specific ratio of 3 numbers printed on a plastic jug, there was a different kind of knowledge. It was the knowledge of the 3 sisters gardeners. It was the knowledge of the homesteader with no money for store-bought amendments. It was the whisper passed from the old Italian grandmother to the young girl helping her in the June heat. It was simply called the trench. The chemical companies erased this. They had to. Think about it logically. If you know how to feed your soil for free using the scraps from last night's dinner, you are no longer a consumer, you are a sovereign. And a sovereign does not buy Miracle-Gro. After the war, the factories that made bombs needed something to do with all that leftover ammonium nitrate. So they repackaged it. They called it plant food. They spent billions on advertising to make you forget the old ways. They made you think that a yellow leaf is a deficiency that only their liquid solution can fix. But the deficiency is not in the plant. The deficiency is in your memory. Let us open the book of alchemy. Let us look at the 4 sacred objects we are going to lower into the earth. This is not just composting. This is the construction of a subterranean engine. First, the fish, the head, the bones. The guts you usually wrap in newspaper and send to the landfill. When you place fish scraps at the bottom of a deep trench, you are lighting a slow fuse. A fuse of pure nitrogen and phosphorus. The microbes in the soil will swarm to this feast. They will break down the flesh and bone. But here is the secret they don't tell you. The phosphorus in fish bone is locked in a form that does not wash away. It sits there, deep under the root zone, releasing its energy for an entire growing season. It is a battery of green growth. Second, the eggshell, blossom end rot is not a disease. It is a calcium crisis. The plant cannot transport water to the tip of the fruit because the cell walls are collapsing. Most people crush eggshells and toss them on top of the soil. That is a waste of time. It takes years for a shell to break down in the sun. But when you bury them deep in the humid, microbial soup created by the rotting fish, the calcium leaches out. It becomes available. It travels up the xylem, pronounced xylem, and fortifies the fruit against the rot. You are building a calcium matrix in the dark. Third, the banana peel, potassium, the element of sugar and flour. It is the regulator. It controls the opening and closing of the stomata, pronounced sto-mata, the plant's lungs. Without potassium, the plant pants and wilts. With it, the plant breathes deep and sets fruit heavily. And finally, the forbidden ingredient, the rusty nail. You see a piece of garbage. I see oxidized iron. Iron is the chlorophyll catalyst. When new leaves come out, pale yellow with green veins, that is iron chlorosis. Modern soil tests will tell you to spray chelated iron on the leaves. But a rusty nail, buried in the damp, acidic environment of decomposing kitchen scraps, releases iron in a slow, steady drip. It is an ancient form of chelation. The acid from the banana peel and the fish dissolves just enough iron to keep the leaves the color of a deep forest emerald. Now, we must perform the ritual with precision, because if you do this wrong, you will burn the roots and kill the plant. Listen closely. Step 1. The grave. You must dig a hole or a trench that is at least 12 inches deep. 14 is better. We are not planting a tomato plant. We are burying a treasure chest. Step 2. The offering. Place the fish parts, the crushed shells, the banana peels, and yes, that rusty nail into the bottom of the hole. Layer them. Do not be shy. The smell will be significant, but the earth will seal it. Step 3. The buffer zone. This is the warning that separates the alchemist from the amateur. Do not place the tomato roots directly on top of raw fish. You must add a layer of plain, clean soil 2 inches thick between the offering and the root ball. This buffer zone is the filter. It allows the water to percolate through the decaying matter and carry the diluted nutrients up to the roots. If you skip this step, the ammonia from the decomposing fish will scorch the tender roots. Patience. 2 inches of dirt. That is the seal. Step 4. The planting. Place your tomato plant deep. Bury the stem up to the first set of leaves. Tomatoes are vines. They will sprout roots from that buried stem, creating a secondary root system that will eventually tap directly into the treasure you have buried below. Step 5. The cover. Water it in. And then, wait. For the first 2 weeks, the plant will focus on roots. You will see nothing dramatic. But below the surface, the alchemy has begun. The fish is feeding the microbes. The microbes are feeding the plant, and the rusty nail is turning the leaves green. A garden tended this way smells different. It smells like the forest floor after rain. It smells like life. Every time you perform this ritual, you are removing $1 from the ledger of the chemical conglomerates and placing it back into the ecosystem of your own backyard. You are rebuilding what the plow and the pesticide destroyed. You are feeding not just your family, but the worms, the fungi, and the billion unseen creatures that hold this planet together. This is the knowledge they spent a century trying to erase, because a gardener who knows the trench is a gardener who never needs to buy their bottles again. If you are ready to dig deeper into the lost archives of soil wisdom, if you are ready to turn your garden into a self-sustaining sanctuary, then you belong here. This is Botanical Alchemy. Hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, because the next secret is even older, and they don't want you to find it. Now, go dig a hole, and don't throw away that nail.